At $50 million in liquid investable assets, you cross an invisible line. And on the other side of that line, everything changes. Not just your bank account. That part's obvious. Your identity, your relationships, your freedom, even how you sleep at night. Some people at this level feel more free than they had ever imagined possible, while others feel more trapped than when they started their first business and had not a penny in the bank. And here's what nobody tells you before you get there. Both of these experiences are happening to the same people at the exact same time. So today, I'm going to show you exactly what life looks like when you reach and cross that threshold of $50 million in liquid investable assets. The extraordinary freedom you gain, the unexpected weight that you carry, and why understanding both sides of this threshold can be the difference maker in whether you survive and thrive at this level or you become a prisoner of your own wealth. And here's why this matters to you right now. If you're sitting at about $10 million, $15 million, or $20 million, you might be saying to yourself, wow, 50 million sounds amazing. I would love to have those problems. And you're right. It can be amazing. The resources at this level can create opportunities that are absolutely extraordinary. But that transition from personal wealth to institutional wealth, which typically happens for many people around $40 to $60 million in assets, can be one of the most disorienting experiences of your entire life. It can be more disorienting than your first exit, more complex than building your first business from the ground up, and truth be told, more emotionally overwhelming than anything that you've experienced up to this point. And why is this true? Because everything that you've learned with regards to managing your life and your wealth up to this point completely stops working. And while you might not be prepared for this right now, today I want to change that for you. So let me start by showing you the numbers, because the numbers matter, even though they're not the whole story. $50 million at a conservative withdrawal rate of 4% gives you about $2 million a year in spending power. But here's what's fascinating at this level. People with $50 million are probably spending more, maybe $2.5 million a year, or even $3 million a year, and their assets continue to compound. This isn't just financial independence at this point. You cross that threshold back at 10 to 15 million. This is something fundamentally different. This is generational security and building a legacy and future for people and family members you're probably never going to meet. Now, first things first, when it comes down to managing this wealth, you're probably looking to build out a team of trusted advisors that have your best interest in mind. Wealth managers who understand high net worth planning, tax specialists who understand multi-state implications and international strategy, and estate attorneys who focus on different trust structures to last for generations. You might have a staff that coordinates your life and an executive assistant that manages your calendar, a real estate manager that handles your properties, and even someone that coordinates household operations across multiple locations. At this point, you're operating what is effectively a small institution, and that institution's job is to manage not only your wealth, but also your life. And something to be aware of, at this level, privacy can evaporate in ways that you never would have thought. Below 50 million, and no one really knows that you're wealthy unless you explicitly tell them. There may be signs, but generally speaking, you have genuine anonymity, and you're able to walk through your community just like everybody else. At $50 million or more, that invisibility tends to disappear, whether it be at the local level, certainly if you've sold a business, or when it comes down to charities knowing who you are from doing donor research. At this point, your name pops up everywhere, whether it be a list of donors on a hospital or a list of board members for a local organization. So if you want privacy at this level, it requires active and intentional strategy much earlier than when you arrive there. Even how you give to charity can fundamentally change. Below 50 million, and you're writing checks casually to causes that mean something to you whenever you want. At 50 million or more, that informal approach stops working. Now you're looking at things like donor-advised funds, charitable trusts, or even private foundations. Your giving becomes structured, strategic, and specific, and you're probably making multi-year commitments. And when it comes to legacy planning, at this level, your children are generally set for life. If you structure things properly, multi-generational security is more of a mathematical equation as opposed to a hope. The thought is not, I hope my kids will be okay financially, or I hope my grandkids will be set. It's more of, I know my family is in a great place, and there's not a heck of a lot that's going to change that. And this is a completely different psychological experience. It can eliminate existential family anxiety forever. That worry in the back of your mind as to whether your children and grandchildren will be okay disappears entirely. And your focus now shifts from thinking about surviving to how can you flourish. And the question then changes from do we have enough to how can we prepare our children to be great stewards of this responsibility? This is freedom of a completely different order from financial independence. And what I mean by that is that incremental investment returns, when you reach this level of wealth, have very little impact on the outcomes of your life. An extra $500,000 in a good year, it doesn't affect where you go, what you do, or who you spend time with. What this means in practice is that you stop optimizing for money and start optimizing for time. That new investment that you're considering, you're not evaluating the return on investment here. You're looking at, is it actually worth my time to do the research? The next family experience. You're not looking at the cost. You're looking at if it's going to provide you the valuable memories that you want formed with your family. Every single hour that you spend has tremendous opportunity cost. Not financial cost, but life cost. At $50 million in liquid investable assets, wealth transcends personal benefit entirely. It becomes something much bigger. If you want to fund local initiatives, you certainly can. A gift of $1 million or $2 million here and there is no big deal. Or maybe it's a named building, or an endowed scholarship for students, or funding an entire program yourself. And what this feels like is genuinely powerful in the best sense of the word. If there's something that you care deeply about, you have the ability to actually move the needle, not just write a check to somebody and hope that they do something about it. You can change outcomes, you can solve problems, and you can save lives. That fundamental shift in mindset from I hope somebody will do something about this problem to I have the ability to fix this makes all the difference in the world. In relationships, lifestyle, healthcare, and time management, money is no longer the constraint into anything that you actually want or need. And with that reality can come more responsibility. The first of which is that you become the infrastructure for others. Your family members know you have resources, so they start coming to you with every problem. Financial problems, relationship problems, operational problems, all of it. Not by choice, by default. Every no affects real people with real needs, but every yes sets a precedent for the next request. There are no clear answers here, just judgment calls, constantly. Your local community knows who you are, so you can't move through your hometown anonymously anymore. And what you lose here can be significant. You'll lose the ability to meet people that you didn't already know. You lose relationships that are untainted by money knowledge. You lose privacy in your community. And you lose the ability to just be you. You're always the wealthy person first. And when it comes to the next generation at this level, the decisions that you make now can impact your children's lives forever. Because the trust structures that you create and put in place now will outlive you by decades. And you're not just managing money, you're managing stewardship. How much do you leave to your kids? Too much, and they might lose their motivation. Too little, and they might struggle and find themselves in a weird place. How do you prepare them to handle this responsibility? What values do you want this wealth to reflect when you're gone? And how do you know that they're not just going to squander it? And the fact that it's heavy, and I mean really heavy to me, is that the decisions that you make today can end up impacting lives of those who have not even been born yet. Now, the people that thrive here tend to do something very, very specific. They stop seeing this wealth as theirs to consume, and they start seeing it as theirs to steward. The fundamental shift is from asking, what do I want to do with my money, to what is my wealth supposed to accomplish? At $50 million or more in liquid assets, create a clear family mission statement, not just generalized platitudes. This gives purpose to the responsibility and can make decision-making easier when you know what you're building toward. Think of it as executing a mission, not just reacting to requests. Another thing that these folks at Thrive do is that they're very selective and they are completely unapologetic about it. Whether it be commitments, helping family, philanthropy, or time, their default answer is no, unless the outcome directly correlates with what their stated values and mission are. Because without boundaries, you'll end up drowning in other people's needs. But if you have boundaries, you can give that time selectively and make a meaningful impact. And understand this, the isolation at $50 million in assets is very real, because most people have no clue what you're going through. What those who thrive do is they find others at the same level who genuinely get it. And having a few deep relationships with people in the same boat as you can make all the difference in the world. People that you can be completely real with, because they fully understand all of the freedom as well as the responsibility that comes along with this level of wealth. Without that peer group, the isolation for some can be unbearable. And something that I want to harp on here is that at $50 million or more in assets, wealth becomes stewardship. And stewardship, if you approach it right, becomes purpose. This is a dual reality, and you need to hold and support both truths simultaneously. Yes, you have extraordinary freedom where you never have to worry about money again for the rest of your life. Freedom to impact the world, freedom to help your family, freedom to say yes to any experience you ever wanted to. But simultaneously, with that freedom comes responsibility. Responsibility to your family members, to your friends, to organizations that count on you. Responsibility to the generations that are not yet born yet. In addition to stewarding the capital well. And here's what separates the people who struggle from the people that genuinely thrive. The people that struggle at this level try to have all the freedom with none of the responsibility. They want all of the resources, the access, and the options, but they don't want any of the weight that comes along with it. But unfortunately for them, it doesn't work this way. Responsibility is inherent. And if you want the freedom, you need to take on the responsibility head first. The people who thrive here, they're the ones that embrace both. They don't just accept responsibility, they find genuine meaning in it. They find purpose in multi-generational thinking, and they find fulfillment in the impact that they can possibly make. And the reframe that changes everything is this. You're not just a wealthy person with a big bank account. You're a wealthy person and a steward of capital. Capital that can change lives for generations to come. And that's not a burden when you approach it right. When you set up your framework through the right lens. When you understand the meaning and the impact that you can have. It's actually a privilege, an incredible privilege. And the real question here is not whether or not you have the capability to do this, because you do. The real question is, will you see the responsibility that comes along with this level of wealth as a burden or as an opportunity? And if you're going through life right now and you're navigating complexities that come along with building wealth, take a minute to check out our next video here.